If you're a leader or an HR professional and you want to know what the benefits of executive coaching are for you and for your executives in your business, this is the keynote for you. It's based on my book, Spartan CEO, but in 20 minutes from now, you'll have all of the core science that you need to sell executive coaching to yourself and your leaders. So over the last 15 years, I've been learning the differentiators and drivers that separate really high-performing executives from really mediocre performing executives, and I know you have both in your organizations. So here are the things that I've learned. These are the 6 pillars of executive performance. They are fitness, confidence, discipline, connecting, rest, and competition. I'm going to give you a quick introduction to each of them. All right, let's start first with fitness. Does fitness matter, by the way? Yeah, does executive fitness matter? Does the CEO's level of physical fitness matter on the bottom line of the company? Yeah, it absolutely does. Okay, so I've done the research on this. I used the S&P 1500 and a decade of data, and I compared those companies that were led by CEOs who played golf to those companies who were led by CEOs who ran marathons, and guess which one makes more money? Yeah, marathon runners. You're absolutely right. Actually, and it's a lot more money. This is the Tobin's Q calculation for all of this. The average market profitability for those companies over that decade of data is 1.7 over 1. That's the Tobin's Q, which means if your company has $1 billion in assets, your share value would be $1.7 billion. That is a Tobin's Q. That's the average in the S&P 1500, okay? Those companies who are led by CEOs who play golf charted in at 1.53, so just a little bit lower than average. And those companies that were led by CEOs who ran marathons charted in at 2.5, which means if your company had $1 billion in assets over that decade in the S&P 1500, it would be worth $2.5 billion in shares if your CEO ran marathons. And I don't know if that's coincidence or not. But I'm going to go ahead and say that physical fitness in your executive suite has a tremendous impact on input-seeking behavior, decision-making quality, and therefore, yes, the bottom line. Yeah, it matters. In my work, I don't deal just with physical fitness. Obviously, that's a big deal, right? But there's mental fitness, spiritual fitness, emotional fitness, and organizational fitness, and I deal with all 5 of them, and I don't have time to introduce all of them to you. But yeah, it has a huge impact. The physical fitness of your executive class really adds to or detracts from their ability to make high-quality decisions, and that impacts the bottom line of your organization, therefore your performance and your ability to take care of all of the other families that are in your care. It matters. Pillar number 2, confidence. Now, I know that you've all taken online personality tests, and some of you have come out saying, oh yeah, you're a really confident person. That's a lie. There's no such thing as a generally confident person, okay? Confidence is not a character trait. It's not a talent. It's not something you're born with. Confidence, all confidence, is contextual and it comes with risk. All confidence is earned. I'll give you an example. For example, how many of you would say that I look pretty confident up here on stage at the moment? Right? Okay, awesome. So me, on stage, slide deck, lights, camera, audience, no problem, very confident. This is my context. But if you change just one piece of this context, if you take away my slide clicker and you give me a guitar, for example, all of my confidence is gone. Same audience, same stage, same light, same cameras. Why no confidence? I don't play guitar. Right. The context has changed. And the context is extremely important. So there's no such thing as a generally confident leader either. Context is incredibly important. Your leaders are only confident in contexts where they have also taken risks. All confidence comes from risk. And if you're not taking a risk that has a reasonable chance of failure, you're not going to gain any confidence for it. Most of you don't gain confidence walking around because there's no risk involved. You've been walking for a long time. But that wasn't always the case, was it? There was a time when you learned to walk. You took the risk, you fell down, you got back up again, and you gained and earned that confidence. So the good news is Even though there's no generally confident leaders out there, no generally confident executives, confidence is a skill. It's not a talent. It can be learned, and therefore it can be taught. Pillar number 3 is discipline. And this, I think, is the greatest differentiator between successful and unsuccessful leaders in our organizations. Discipline is the ability to choose your behavior regardless of how you feel. Do you know how long motivation lasts in the human brain? Do you know what motivation is made of? It's a chemical, it's called dopamine. So when you think about getting something done, when any of your employees thinks about, oh, I should really get that report done, or oh, I should balance that spreadsheet, or oh, I should finish that presentation, they get an initial rush of dopamine right here in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, just in the front of the brain. When they get that initial rush, do you know how long it lasts? 40 seconds. It lasts 40 seconds, maybe, maximum 40 seconds. And then what happens when that initial motivation burns out? You know? They get another hit of dopamine, but this time not in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, but in the anterior insula of the brain, in the back part of the brain, located right next to the risk avoidance center. So yes, what happens in the human brain is you get rewarded for thinking about getting something done, and if you only just sit and wait for 40 seconds, you will be rewarded for not doing it. It's amazing. We can become literally addicted to not feeling like doing things. That is why procrastination is so hard to break, is because it is a neurochemical addiction. It is a heroin-level addiction to not getting anything done. And discipline really is the movement of dopamine production from the anterior insula right back up to the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. It is a physiological, neurochemical change that happens in the brain when we create those patterns of discipline so that we get something done rather than getting nothing done. Cool, right? I love science. Science is the best. I tell people all the time, look, I'm a leadership guru, right? But if you want to learn leadership, don't follow me. Follow the science, because that's what I'm doing. Discipline is the ability to choose what you do regardless of how you feel. And that's pillar number 3. Pillar number 4 is connecting. So once you have internally, you've got your fitness done physiologically, your biopsychosocial machine is working properly, you got your mindset right with your discipline and your confidence set up, then you need to connect with the people around you. And I didn't say relationships and I didn't say leadership because that's not what really makes money. Making money is about connecting, really connecting with the people that you're with. Right? You hear me? Connecting is what makes money. Do you know how much money it makes? The Better Up study in 2017 showed us that 90% of employees are willing to work for 23% less if they're working in a job where they feel connected and they find meaning, okay? That's great, but that doesn't mean you should pay your people less, right? Okay, like that's not cool. I mean, the irony is that even though they're willing to work for 23% less, they actually make more. So your company is going to benefit if your leaders are connecting with their people. Those people who feel connected will take 2 less leave days every year. They'll work an extra hour a week of discretionary effort, which adds up to an extra week's worth of work every year. They'll do that with a big smile on their face. And they'll make more money because people who are connected at work and find meaning in what they do, they actually have more opportunities for raises, more opportunities for promotions. They're better performing. You win. They win. Also, the new science that's coming out now shows us that not only are they going to perform better, but they are happier, they live healthier lives, and they live longer lives. If your employees feel connected at work, if they are connected with the people who lead them, they live longer lives. And you in HR have the opportunity and responsibility to help lengthen the lives of the people in your care. You can do this if you help our leaders to connect with the people around them. Do you know how much this matters on the bottom line, by the way? About $9,000 per employee per year. That's the actual value of it. So yeah, go ahead and spend some money on employee wellness and connecting and team building and stuff, because it's gonna be a great investment for you. Not enough science? You want some more? You've heard of the Gallup study, right? So the Gallup study found that employees who find meaning and connection in their work, those companies benefit. This is, by the way, 50,000 business units, 20 years of data, 1.4 million employee records. Okay, 41% less absenteeism, 59% less turnover. We skip down to 17% higher performance, and this is the big one, 21% higher profitability in those organizations where their employees feel connected. And it's not just connected with each other, because 70% of the variance in this connection comes down to the oxytocin level in a single relationship. You know what oxytocin is, by the way? The dopamine is the get thing done chemical. Oxytocin is the love, trust, and belonging chemical. It's the only way that any human has ever experienced belonging and trust and love and acceptance and inclusion. All of that is measured in oxytocin in the brain. And the level of oxytocin in your employee's brain in a single relationship governs 70% of the variance on all of these benefits. Do you know which relationship that is? Anyone guess? It's the manager. That's it. It's a 450-page book called It's the Manager. You should read it. It's a really fantastic read. But this is the thesis right there. So yeah, if your leaders are connecting, meaningfully connecting with their people, you're going to make more money. Not just a little bit more, but 70% variance on 21% profitability is 14.7% of your net profit variance is based solely on whether or not a leader can connect with their people. That's not small science, you guys. That's executive performance. All right. So we've gone through the first four. If you're got your psychosocial machine working well, and you've got your mindset with your discipline and your confidence good, and you're connecting with the people around you, chances are you're going to be exhausted. So pillar number 5 is rest. Rest is incredibly important because of this single principle, which all of us know. We do not get stronger when we exercise. We get weaker. We don't get stronger in the gym or running marathons. We get weaker. We burn calories. We break down muscle. We use up all of the glycogen that's here. We use it up. That's not when we get stronger. When do we get stronger? When we're asleep. That's exactly right. We get stronger when we're in recovery. And that is the same principle mentally as it is physically. We don't get stronger when we're thinking through things all day, thinking through things. No, because what happens? You use up all of the water, you use up all of the calories, and eventually what happens to a tired brain when it's used up all of its energy? It goes to sleep. And you know, your brain is just as active when you're sleeping as it is when you're awake, except you have a lot less to do. So what's it doing? Well, it sorts things out. It's sorting information into categories, boxes, biases, and heuristics that help you the next day. Recovery is what makes us stronger. Now, I'm in the 5 a.m. club, and I don't know how many of you are in the 5 a.m. club, but I love getting a lot out of my day. But the only reason I can be in the 5 a.m. club is because I'm also in the 10 p.m. club. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. Do you know how much sleep you need every day to operate optimally? It's about 7 hours for gentlemen and 7 hours and 20 minutes for the ladies. Those are the averages globally. So as it turns out, beauty sleep is a thing, right? Science is supporting all of that. But yeah, you need 7 hours. And if you don't get 7 hours, there's significant costs to that. For example, if one of your executives has a big weekend, and let's say on Friday night goes out partying and he gets less than 6 hours of sleep, and then on Saturday night he goes out partying again and gets less than 6 hours of sleep, even if he catches up on his sleep on Sunday night before he comes into the office on Monday, his performance will be down 12.1% on average, and it will be sustained for 6 days, even if he catches up on sleep every night of that week. Yeah, there's a bottom line impact to that. So much so, I've convinced a board of directors to offer a sleep and recovery bonus to any executive that's willing to wear an Oura ring or a Whoop strap and track their sleep quality over a quarter. Because it's impactful. You make more money when your executives have a good rest and recovery strategy. You need them to be operating at their best. That's pillar number 5. And pillar number 6, if we get all these things right, then it's time for us to do what we as humans have been doing very well for the last million years. We compete. But those of us who know how to leverage competition, we know we don't compete to win. We compete to get stronger. So whether we're talking about Usain Bolt's world record or we're talking about Mitchie Briscoe's 1260 at the X Games, we love a great rivalry because a great rivalry isn't about us winning against somebody else. When we're competing against a rival who's at their best, then we have to be at our best. Make sense? Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi passed the Ballon d'Or back and forth to each other for like a decade. And I remember this interview with Ronaldo where he said, look, Messi and I, we don't hang out much, but there's no reason why we shouldn't, because I'm undoubtedly a better football player because he exists. They only actually meet each other on the field maybe twice a year. They're indirect competitors, but both of them are stronger. Both of them are at their best because the other exists. So whether we're talking about these guys or Michelangelo and Raphael, like these competitions, these specific competitions, these rivalries have been going on forever. And choosing great competitors in the market for yourself and for your company helps you as an individual, as a leader, helps your executives and as individuals, as leaders, and helps your company in its industry to be at your very best. Choose great competitors, not to win, but to grow. Those are the 6 pillars of executive performance. They're fitness, confidence, discipline, connecting, rest, and competition. I'll just give you a couple of examples of how this works out. I had one executive that started working with me a year ago. Within the first 6 months of our coaching, he got a raise, he got a promotion to SVP, he finished his PMP, started his MBA, and he was spending more time with his wife and his kids at home. More. That's all I want. See, in the game of coaching, what we do is we help talented athletes become Olympic. We don't take broken people and fix them. If your people are broken and they need to be fixed, call a therapist. But if they're talented and you think they might be Olympians, it's time for a coach. Thank you.